Okay, welcome traders. So you did a search in YouTube and you were looking for the ultimate indicator. You're looking for the magic bullet, the one indicator that'll bring your level of success to the highest peaks where you make the most money and get the best exits and the best entries. Despite all the experts telling you that such an indicator doesn't exist, you're still searching. That's the same thing I did. Well, I'm here to tell you that I found something that I think will help you become a better trader. And despite the indicators that are out there, this is not a lagging indicator. It's actually a leading indicator, which is one of the downfalls of all the indicators out there because they're based on price action or volume action or both, but it's based on something that's already happened. Now, this software platform called Vantage Point uses intermarket analysis, neural networks, and artificial intelligence to predict the next day's high and low. Also, whether it's going to trend up or trend down, and it does that by using artificial intelligence, as I said before. The intermarket analysis, we'll take a look at it in a minute, but first I want to take a quick look at Vantage Point and show you how it works. Alright, so here we have the Vantage Point software platform. You have the markets, and you have the options of getting Forex, futures, Forex, ETFs, and US stocks. And there's the commodities, spiders, and then you have United States ETFs. You can see there's plenty of options here. If you go to VantagePointSoftware.com, you can see what markets are included with what sectors. And that's probably the best way to see what's included. So way this works is you open up an IntelliScan, and let's look at the financials. Okay, so here we have the financial IntelliScan. And what we're doing is looking for crossovers, and I'll show you that in a minute. I just want to show you how the IntelliScan works, because that's basically the heart of the system, and that's where you find your opportunities. So what we're looking for is medium-term fresh crossovers, and this shows you the days. And as we scroll down, this is telling me that there was a crossover in AIG 6 days ago. So we're going to look at some fresh ones. Now let's look at something more popular. Let's look at Charles Schwab. So double click on that, and now it'll bring up the actual chart. And what we're looking for, and this isn't a good example, but what we're looking for here is crossovers. Now this occurred, back in June 5th, but here they're telling me that there's a crossover here. And like I said, once you filter through all these, you'll see that this one isn't a good example. Well, let's try it. Let's look at a different one and see what else is available there. Let's try to discover. All right, here's a better crossover. As you can see, this crossover to the downside, and that's basically the heart of the system. We're looking for crossovers like that, and there's various other indicators that help confirm that this is a valid crossover. So you're not just looking for this crossover. You add that in conjunction with other indicators that are on the charts. There's also premium indicators that you can get, technical indicators like MACD, RSI, stochastic. Then you have the Larry Williams indicator, which I have up here. This is the electronic market accumulation, and this is the Larry Williams PSI. Those are the few of the other indicators that are involved, that they supply. Okay, so what we're looking for, like I said before, is we're looking at these crossovers, and in conjunction with these predictive differences, another thing we're looking for is everything pointing in a down direction in this case, because it's basically a downward crossover, which is saying that this market most likely is headed down. This bar here is called the neural index, and basically what it's saying is if it's green, you can expect within the next 48 hours, it's a 48-hour indicator, within the next 48 hours, you can expect an upward movement. If it's red, it's telling you within the next 48 hours you can expect some weakness or downward movement. As you can see here, it turned green and we had a pretty good upward trend. Here it turned red right in here, and it was telling us that there was going to be weakness, and you can see that 2 days there was almost no movement, although there was a little bit of a gap up. This is not a tell-all indicator. This is not a timing. If it's green, don't expect it to go up. It's telling you it's possible that it's going to go up, but it's not an entry or a trigger for an entry. There's a lot of things that go together that make this system work. Okay, so before I mentioned that the system uses intermarket analysis to gather data, and with that intermarket analysis data that it gathers, it uses artificial intelligence and neural networks to come up with a predictive range, which is this gray bar here. See, as you can see, today's date is the 13th, and what they're telling me is this is the 16th, which would be Monday, and it's giving me a predicted high of $70.49 and a predicted low of $69.37. There's also a way that you can turn on, if you look at this, P high, P low, this tells me or shows me exactly what the predicted highs were. Basically, it's telling me how accurate the predictive highs were the day from the day before. As you can see, it goes to the top and bottom and the top of this, and you can see how accurate it follows along, and it does a fairly good job. Here's one particular example where the market actually fell a lot more than it indicated. So before I mentioned intermarket analysis, so if we go to the markets and we look at this in detail, here's the intermarkets. So Vantage Point has determined that all these markets are valuable and affect Discovery, in this case, Discover Financial Services. All these markets here have an effect on the outcome of this predictive next day analysis. Now, the artificial intelligence takes care of all the behind the scene work, which I can't go into here because I don't know it. It's proprietary information. It's patented. But all these markets here are used to determine this next predictive day. So you can see that it's a pretty extensive analysis going on here. Now you can imagine that this is going on from all these stocks all instantly. So when you go to your IntelliScan, you go through all of these sectors. You pick out the most interesting ones, and you can focus on it. It's a process that takes a few moments, but it's done very rapidly if you consider the amount of information that you're looking at. And then you can focus on what you think will be the best choices for the next day. What I want to show you here is the ability of Vantage Point to predict what's coming. This is a chart of the SPY, which is the proxy for S&P 500, and this is the time frame is right end of January, beginning of February, when we had that very major market correction. If you remember the time before that, people were saying that the market was going up too fast, too far, too fast. Correction was coming. Everybody was playing the devil's advocate. So here you can see the predicted, medium predicted trend, and then the actual. Okay, and the difference between the two produces the green or red. If the predicted is above, the market should be trending higher, as it was, and if it's below the actual moving average, then you can see that it turns red, and it's telling you that the market most likely will go down. So during the time in January when everybody was panicking that the market was going to turn any day now, you can see Vantage Point was giving you a clear signal to stay in the market. And right around here, after a couple down days, right around here it's saying, wait a minute, something might be coming. And you can see that just before the major market downturn, Vantage Point was telling you something was coming. You can see all the predictive differences were facing down, and at that point, it was giving you a pretty clear indication that something was coming. That allowed us to stay, or Vantage Point users allowed us to stay in the market as long as possible, making all this profit in here without panicking and peace of mind until we got to this point where things started getting closer and closer. We got out of the market and we avoided the downtrend, or actually, I'm sure there was plenty, myself included, that actually made some profit on this downturn by myself. I trade options. I played some down puts on the SPY. I want to take a moment and take a look at Skyworks Solutions. That's been a stock or a market that's been in conversation quite often in the last year. And I just want to show you how the Vantage Point platform predicts what's coming so that you can make informed decisions and not just guess at what you want to do. So back in January, February, March here, you can see that we had a nice uptrend, and during this time, the medium term predicted average was always above the actual average. So you could have made a nice profit here. Let's say you got in here and you got out somewhere over here. There's a profit calc on here where you could just draw your line. Let's say we got out here, and it'll show you that in 20 trading days you made about $11.50 per share on that particular trade. With options, that would have been a pretty nice gain. But the main thing I want to focus on here is the downtrend. You had a long uptrend, and as we all know, there's uptrends, then there's some consolidation, and there's a further uptrend. Now, how do we know that this is not some further consolidation here, like it was here, and then just continued on up? We don't know that. But with Vantage Point, it helps you determine that that's in fact isn't the case. You could see during this time the neural index was pretty much green the whole way. You had this little blip here, which was the consolidation period. But if you notice the predicted differences, the short term, which is the aqua, the medium term, which is this color here, the magenta, and a long term differential is I guess that would be dark blue or purple. You can see during this time here, they were pointing down, but they were still in a positive region, this being the zero line here. So most likely that wasn't going to be a major problem here. It was just saying that it was a little consolidation. Then it went back to green. Now, right here, where we had the crossovers, you can see the short-term and the medium-term differentials were already below the zero line. That's one of the prime indicators telling you that there's going to be a change. In this case, the change crossover to the downside. We had a very nice down move. Now here, you have a little bit of a crossover here. The neural index did turn green. We did have a indication that there could possibly be a change. But as you notice, right away in the next 2 days, the neural index went back to red. So that tells you that, well, this was a false signal. Get out, live to trade another day. And then we had another downturn, and you can see everything consolidated here again. The neural index turned red. We had 3 down positions crossing the zero line, and you had another nice down move here. So that's basically how this system works. There's a lot of nuances to it, a lot of different ways you can do it. As I said, there's different indicators that you can add to the screen that'll help determine which direction the trend is going. Okay, here's an example of Forex. This happens to be Euro US. And I wanted to show you the crossover scenario on something like this in a Forex market. As you can see, there was a crossover right here. The neural index was red, was already red, and we had the two predicted differences below the zero line. And you can see that from this point to pretty much here, let's see, there was a little bit of a green area here. We only had one, so it didn't really give you a clear signal that to get out here. It was a little bit of a consolidation and a small uptrend, but then it continued to downtrend. Right in here, we had another crossover, and we had two of the predicted differences in the positive area, and you can see the neural index was green for quite some time already, so most likely would have gotten out ahead of that. But what I wanted to show you is how that system works on Forex. And I'm going to give you, let's say we got in here and got out. Let's say we got out up here, so we got a little bit of a loss in there. And the profit calc tells you that in that move, it was 31 trading days, which was a month. There was almost $5,400 worth of profit in that particular, or 5,400 euros. I'm sorry, in that particular trade, which was a pretty good trade, a very significant profit. Now, what I want to say is, this software does take a little bit of a learning curve to learn, as does any indicator that you add to your charts or your trading. However, they have extensive support. When you purchase the software, you automatically get support. Now, I purchased mine maybe 3 years ago, and I don't remember exactly how long the support was, but they'll go over that with you. You can also get into extended support, which is very reasonable. It's a monthly basis or on a yearly basis. It's a very reasonable, and it also includes a weekly video that they do on the overall market outlook, and gives you some pointers in what direction you should be looking at, and so forth. They also offer, which I find extremely valuable, is live classes. They have live classes every single day that you can join, and they're either during the day or in the evenings, depending on what day it is. And they have experts that give the classes. And I'm a member of the live classes. I try to attend as much as possible because I'm always learning something from them. They have experts for options. They have experts in Forex, and they have experts just in chart analysis. I find these classes extremely valuable. So if you do purchase this software, which I think you at least owe it to yourself to take a look at it, definitely look into the live classes. Mention Trader Rano. Maybe they'll give you a free bonus or an extra bonus or something like that. They like referrals. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck with your trading.